CRWS, Countering Racism White Supremacy Book Club. Like, share, subscribe, and comment below.
Mr. Fuller, could you explain the significance of the suggestions presented in the code needing to have current and constructive value? Because it seems at times some suggestions will have to be contradicted in order to constructively solve a problem.
Well, I have said in the code book that in the code book itself, there will be things that appear to be contradictory. But I said that because everything is supposed to stand on its own, because no one has ever solved the race problem. So that's why I invented the term victim's guaranteed qualification. If you're a victim of racism, you should be, logically speaking and correctively speaking, guaranteed the qualification just by being a victim of saying whatever you choose to say about your being a victim. And you can say anything about race, racism, and or counter-racism. And people can disagree with what you're saying, but that doesn't say that you do not have the qualification for saying it. So this is to keep down conflict about the differences of opinion that victims of racism may have about how to eliminate racism, or even in the cases, many cases, a lot of people say that racism is not that much of a problem, and or some people say it doesn't really exist in this day and time, in the year 2021. Now, if you're a victim of racism, you can say that. And another person doesn't have to agree with it, but they can't really disagree with you saying it. The person just gives his or her own opinion about the effects of racism or whether or not it exists, or the best way to go about eliminating it. And everyone is equal because all prisoners, all victims of racism are equal when it comes to what they have to say about race, racism, and or counter-racism. And that's a very important part of a counter-racist code, in my opinion, simply because it cuts out a whole lot of the fat, you might say, and the delays and the controversies that come up among the victims themselves about what to do about racism. When victims of racism argue among themselves, it's just like prisoners of war arguing forever, all in the middle of the war, while they're prisoners, about who has the best ideas and who has the worst ideas about what to do about racism. And at the beginning and end of each day, functionally, that means that nothing changes. Because if you just look at it, what changes when black people argue among themselves and sometimes get violent with each other and don't want to speak to each other and all this type of thing about differences of opinion about their condition and what to do about it, when no one has come up with a formula yet that has worked to replace the system of racism with the system of justice. No one. So everybody can say what they want to say. That's logical.
Okay.